So it's not for kids.
I passed my test today.
Oh.
Now here's the thing. I thought that I would be taking this test 1 week from today. I had that thought yesterday when I was scheduling my test online. I went.
What happened?
So I guess for those who don't know, I'm pursuing a undergraduate degree in cloud computing on Pearson VUE's website. When I went to put the test request in my mind just assumed that the proctoring center did not have any availability this week. So I just saw the first Tuesday on the calendar and was like, that's next week. And like, didn't really pay attention to the dates somehow.
Oh my God.
So I don't know how I like fucked this up that badly. And the thing was that I click the first Tuesday I see, and this is on a Monday, of course. And then it locks it in and tells me I cannot cancel or reschedule because I can't do that unless I give at least 24 hours notice.
Yeah.
I'm cooked. I like call them. I'm like, please, can't you see that I just registered like 5 minutes ago? And they're like, we are sorry. You're fucked. Just try and take it, I guess. So anyway, I then immediately went on Magic Arena and got rank 149 Mythic.
Wait, before
and
you
then
took the
I
test?
studied.
Oh, okay. That was a big question. Before or after? And it sounds like before.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of you being like, oh God, it's coming right now. I'm going to play some Magic.
I was like resigned to doom, and I was just kind of like, you know what would make me feel better is like getting that fucking Mythic rank. Like, I'm so
like,
close.
I'm doomed. Wait a minute. Dr. Doom, Marvel Magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, congratulations. I bet you that the ranking in Magic probably contributed to your success.
In a way, like it did boost my confidence, number one. I'll admit to that.
Yeah, because that's what you need.
Honestly. And then number two, it was like getting into Mythic got it off my to-do list, essentially. Like it cleared it from my brain so I could actually fucking study.
All the space that was like your recently acquired Marvel lore just got effaced from your psyche.
Yeah, exactly.
You heard it here, listeners. Need to cram for an exam? Just play a little Magic the Gathering.
Just play some Arena until you reach Mythic rank.
Welcome to Shelf Stable, a podcast celebrating board games that have stood the test of time. I'm your first host, Kenny Katayama.
And I'm the other host, Tom Bowers. Today, the topic is a reaction. It's a React Andy show. We're going to watch a 4-year-old video from Eric Martin of Board Game Geek called The Smart Gamer's Guide to Putting Away Board Games. And we're going to tell you why we're talking about this video in a minute.
Yeah,
but
we'll tell you later. We have thoughts, I guess.
Before we talk about this video, though, let's just talk about some games we've been playing recently. Kenny, you got any good ones for me?
I got some great ones. Have you heard of this designer called Reiner Knizia?
Never heard of the guy.
I think I'm pronouncing that right. Well, Reiner Knizia made a game called Taj Mahal from 2000. This version was published by Z-Man Games. Taj Mahal, what an interesting game. So in Taj Mahal, you are manipulating these cards that you have to try and squeeze out wins in the like 6 different auctions that are happening simultaneously. Each one has basically a different symbol, and whoever has the most symbols claims that particular victory. And so you keep playing cards that have the different symbols out until you back out. And when you back out, if you have the most of something, you win it. There's a little wrinkle that's super cute, and that is that when you back out, you're done. All your cards are discarded. So let's say I play 2 elephants and a vizier. And Tom, you're like, well, I want elephants. I'm going to try to contest him. So you play 2 elephants. At that point, nobody wins elephants. So if I pop right now, I'm not winning elephants. You have to actually have more than anyone else around the table. But I do have 1 vizier and nobody else has viziers around the table. So I'm like, I'm going to pop anyway. I don't really care about elephants. So I get the vizier advantage because I have the most viziers around the table. I am tied in elephants, so I don't get elephants. Now it's your turn. You would think in a usual game, like, oh, well, I'm still tied in elephants. I have to play more elephants and I don't have any. My cards are discarded, Tom. So now there's no elephants on the table except for your 2 that you still have. It's kind of push your luck as well. I don't have the winning stuff, but I'm stopping someone else from winning. And so if they fold, essentially, then now I'm winning it. It's a very, very interesting little gameplay going on. I think you would like it a lot, Tom.
It makes me think of startups.
It's a little startups-y, yeah. Although you don't get punished for committing to something other than like losing the cards, which I would say is definitely not something to like shrug off, but it is not as painful as startups where you basically have to like ensure that somebody's going to go in with you on something. I hadn't thought about that, Tom. There is kind of a startups-y element to it. I wonder if startups was inspired a bit by Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
The popping results in a sort of area control, connecting areas that are adjacent to each other game on the board. That part is interesting too, but I would say it's like not something I want to focus on too much just because I think it's pretty easily digestible and it doesn't tickle, it doesn't tickle the bottom of the ribs kind of thing. It doesn't make you go, ooh, when you're playing it, even though it's still cool. But yeah, the idea is like, win these very intricate, like hard to think about auctions of like Death Note. I know that they are going to pull this, so I'm actually going to win this, or I'll just tie them in this because then they'll be really mad and they'll overcommit and things like that. I say auction, but it doesn't really feel like an auction. It's like the ultimate pissing contest. I think is the best way to explain it. Funny thing, the rules explainer at the very beginning was like, one thing that a lot of new players do is overcommit cards and then they don't have enough cards for really critical moments in later parts of the game. And we were all like nodding. Literally like the first round, we all played like 4 or 5 cards out of our like 6 available cards. So we didn't really get the memo, I like Taj Mahal. I would want to play it again, knowing what I know now. I want to delve deeper into it. I think this game is significantly different from other Knizia games. It really lives in its own space. Knizia didn't really go anywhere with this. As far as I know, like this isn't one that Knizia's like riffed on the way that he tends to do with a lot of his other games. So I highly recommend seeking this one out if you're a big Knizia fan. Probably not like the Knizia to play. I mean, there's some real classics, right? But if you like his kind of game, it's very much his kind of game while also being different, having a twist on it.
A little startup style twist. It's like a Knizia Oink game. What's not to love?
Yeah. Sure. That's Taj Mahal from 2000.
Okay, Kenny. Well, I got to play Age of Steam from 2002, technically, although we played the deluxe edition, which is more recently published by Eagle-Gryphon Games. And design credits on the rulebook, the box, go to John Bohrer, but Martin Wallace was also involved? ?
I still don't understand fully what's going on with this game.
Age of Steam is a train game. It's not really a cube rails game. It's essentially pick up and deliver, although is that the correct term? Because I feel like whenever I hear pick up and deliver, there's like movement involved. Like you've got to get yourself to one spot to bring stuff to the other. And that doesn't really happen in this. Yeah,
it kind of goes into the what is a worker placement conversation, right? I think the way I described it when we talked about it previously was like you pick up a cube and fire it through like a photon cannon. So it's not really pick up and deliver. It all happens at one go.
Yeah. It's like as soon as the route is built, it just like a particle through the Large Hadron Collider, it just flies to its destination.
You know what it's like? It's like when you hit the fast forward button in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like you're like, oh, I already built everything. And then it's like, blah, 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 blah.
Age of Steam.
Did you like it?
I did like it quite a bit. I lost very handily, and I knew I was lost pretty much from turn 1, but I wasn't even mad about trying to play through the rest of it because there were a lot of opportunities for me to find ways of catching up, or at least I felt like there were angles that I could take throughout the game where I might have sort of gotten back on my feet. However, I failed to think ahead. The first blunder was bad, but I failed to think ahead again later, and that also cost me very largely. If I had just had a little more experience under my belt, I think it would have been a very, very different game. And now that I have played it the one time, I'm like, I got to play this fucking thing again because I know exactly what I would do differently. And I wouldn't be surprised if I had tried to do all those things differently and then, you know, start hitting like the tight economic walls of this game and being like, ah, shit, it ain't as easy as I thought.
I felt the same way as you after I played it, where I was like, I got to play this again.
Yeah.
I got to play it while it's fresh.
And I really, really like that it's sort of nebulously in the spaces between Cube Rails and 18XX. I mean, it has like almost nothing in common with the actual game feel of 18XX other than the route building.
It just kind of feels like it belongs in the same bucket.
Yeah. However, the playtime is way shorter and there's a lot less math involved. And the math of this is very clean, very elegant, very breezy. I really appreciated that. Everything about it is so simple, and yet it feels tight. It feels chonky. You're punished for not thinking ahead, but you don't ever feel like you're completely out of it, even if you actually are, which I definitely was from like probably round two. I really was impressed with this one, more so than I think I thought I would be. Absolutely want to try this one again. It's a classic for a reason. Yeah,
it's one of those games where, like, I mean, assuming you're into it, right? While you're playing it, you're like, you point to the game and you point to the person that taught you and you're like, this is good. This is a good game. Like, it kind of gives that feeling.
It's funny because it looks as if there's a lot of ways in which you could interact in terms of blocking people on routes, but you really can't. There's not like a ton.
I don't know.
I guess it depends on the map a little bit.
The first time we played, it was not super interactive other than like grabbing the actions every round. The second time we played, it was tons of mooching and blocking and going nuts. So I think it kind of depends on the map.
That's what I guess I'm getting at, is that you don't think necessarily that there's a lot you can do to block other players, mess other people up. Turns out there is quite a bit. Again, you can't be like asleep. Be medicated when you play this, in my case, like, because you'll probably perform a lot better. You need to be watching what other people are going for, what they're planning to do, what you think they might do, because it will affect you more than you think. But anyway.
Solid game.
Age of Steam.
We are just in the threshold of shelf stability. We're going to talk about Canvas from 2021. Canvas is a beautiful, beautiful game. Jeff Chin and Andrew N., published by Road to Infamy. Canvas kind of does the John D. Clare sleeves that you put transparent cards in to like have multiple cards overlap, except instead of obsessing over how you can fit as much stuff in one custom crafted card, it's really about the art. And I think it's done in a way that's very elegant. I was expecting these paintings that we're making to be a lot jankier than they actually were. The way it works is kind of like an image Mad Lib, where you have like a girl holding a balloon, and then you have a beautiful landscape, and then you have like spider webs around the corners of the card. And when you layer those three transparent cards together, you have like a beautiful landscape with cobwebs on the corners and the girl in the front.
Yeah.
And then it'll say something like juvenile horror or something like that.
It's a build your own Banksy.
Build your own Banksy, yeah. I was really, really anticipating these images to just be like not nonsensical, but we had a mini competition at the end of just present your most beautiful painting, and everybody had some pretty impressive things. Not for points or anything, just for clout.
I think that's even like the official tiebreaker, though, is something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like if two players in a tie, then it's like the piece that players collectively agree is the most beautiful or something, I think, wins.
Yeah. The game itself is very simple. If you like Calico or Cascadia or any of these cozy, score a bunch of points in various ways. There's all these different goals that give you different points. You try to get as many of those in each one of your canvases. You have exactly 3 cards or 3 canvases, and you can fit 3 transparent cards inside of each one of those. Draft cards in the right order and make sure that you're not wasting time, and then play the right cards eventually when you run out of space in your hand. It has the closed economy from like Pax Pamir, which I like a lot. I think more games should use this, where the oldest card is free and you get all of the money on top of it. any cards past it, you basically have to put a coin on each of the cards to the left of it. I cannot speak highly enough about the closed economy system. I wish more games leverage this.
You know, it's funny because as soon as you said this, it came back to me in a flash. I was like, oh yeah, that is how this one works. And comparing it to PAX Premier makes a ton of sense because my recollection of this game, it ended up being a lot like that session at PAX Premier we had where like... I saw so much attritional value. Yeah. But I could be wrong. It's just that like what's had me not really coming back to this very fast is that like it's so like there's just like a bazillion and one things to think about, and it's not like fast, snappy. Yeah,
this is a Mentat game for sure. Not in the math style, but just like a million things to keep in mind.
It's combinatorics to the extreme. Like that's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe Mentat, maybe we define these terms, right? Mentat to me is like you got to do a bunch of calculations in your head. This is more like headache.
What even is a Mentat?
I don't know. This is more like a headache game. Like you get a headache thinking about all the combinatorics.
Yeah. The amount of details are wild.
Therein lies the problem with Canvas. The art, like I said, is beautiful, and the action economy is one that I particularly like in other games. But at the end of the day, what you're doing in Canvas is figuring out how to score stuff by putting it together to get the most things checked as possible. And that is just not something that really resonates with me as a gamer. I know a lot of people like this, so it's definitely not like a mark against the game. And I know it's really accessible too. But yeah, it's like I would rather play Canvas than Calico. I think when I talked about Belle of the Ball, I was like, I just wish this economy system was used for something else. Canvas is probably the game that I wish Belle of the Ball was. I'm not going to be clamoring to play Canvas. But I'll gladly play it, especially because it's not too long.
Yeah, it is. It's surprisingly short. It's like you execute the same game loop 3 times or something like that, and then it's over, and you're just like, oh. I feel like the design or the engineered vibe is quiet and methodical, and it's not typically what I'm after when I'm trying to play a game. But I'm sure there are people out there listening to this and they're just like, holy shit, sign me the fuck up. Where has this been my whole life? So
yeah, if you like chill games where the interactivity is more about sharing things that you can potentially grab, and you want to think about every possible permutation of something and then go, ooh, and then score your maximum points. Like this is an excellent game. I will say one more real quick thing with this game. Absolutely adore the production. I'm not just talking about the art and how the sleeved cards work. I'm talking there's like a compartment that has all the transparent cards, and you pull that out and it goes in its spot, and that's your deck because it covers up the front of the cards so you're not able to see them. Just some really clever little touches. It's got a felt mat for the board that works really well. Like, I think this production is so minutely crafted, and it makes me want to explore more games from this publisher. Not necessarily the designer, but the publisher. I have not been impressed by a production like this in a long time.
You're leaving off like one of the more important bits, which is there's a little like nail hole in the back of the box. You could actually put this up, and it's designed so that if it were on your wall, it would fit right in with like one of those thick paintings.
Yeah, there's just so many clever things. The way that the sections are outlined in the back of the box so that you can clean up really easily. Like, I don't know. I was in love with the production. Mid-game, amazing production Canvas from 2021.
Pretty much sums it up. Okay, Kenny, well, I want to talk about a game that you've probably heard of. It won a little award you might have heard about. It's called Spiel des Jahres. It's like a German, it's like the Oscars of board gaming, okay? Kingdomino. It's from 2016, designed by Bruno, Cathala, and published by Blue Orange. Kingdomino, it's a very simple, very unassuming game. That's honestly what's so great about it. I feel as if the last time I played it, I was not really in a headspace to appreciate games like this that are so dead simple, but so sort of potentially deep in what you can extract from it. It's kind of like almost like how we've come around full horseshoe with Catan. Like that's where I'm at with Kingdomino, the most recent time I played this.
I'll have to play it again.
I don't know if this has like as many like layers and mechanisms and levers that you can pull like you can in Catan. I guess what I'm trying to get at though is that one of the interesting experiences I had with this recently was that I played it with two other adults. We finished the game. I scored very badly. And then I was immediately, all three of us were like, we should play it again. And we did. And all of us scored better than we did the first time. And I won the second time. And I'm like, that's nuts, right? That like the points.
This is why you're so high on it. This is because you won.
Well, of course. But like, it's more interesting, I guess, that like the potential to score as many points as we did was there that first game. And it wasn't realized by us collectively. You know what I'm saying? Like we like collectively all improved in the second session, which is like, I'm not sure that I see that in a lot of other games. So I really like that. I do think there might be a sort of lack of long-term replayability, but even then it's such a short, fast game that you can play with literally anyone of almost any age, your grandma, your neighbor who hates board games, like anyone will play this with you. And there's something to be said for that. It's very solid.
I'll have to play it again in the spirit of my resolution.
Right.
If you gave it a second shot and you weren't hot on it, and then you're like, actually, this is really good, I got to be like, oh.
That's exactly how I felt about it, sort of thinking of it in the abstract, but playing it again recently, I don't know if it's just like, I'm high on life, or if but I think it's just more like these days with how much we've been doing on this show, Knizia, all this stuff, big chungus, million component, all over the table board games are sort of like losing an edge here. And Kingdomino is like the thing that is regaining that edge for me. I don't know what to tell you. That's kind of where I'm at, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll have to do some Kingdomino.
100 games to play before you die.
All right, Kenny. Well, now it's time to talk about the 100 games that you are required by law to play before you turn 100 years old and or die. And you have to play them one at a time per year, every year. So the game that you play when you turn 80 years old. I'm just kidding. But game number 80 on this
really?
epic list.
You're kidding?
Game number 80 on this epic list that we've been journeying through now for 200 episodes is Arkham Horror, the card game from 2016. This is designed by Nate French and MJ Newman. It's published by Fantasy Flight Games. Kenny, why is this on the list?
Arkham Horror, the card game, not to be confused with Arkham Horror, the board game, or many of the other Arkham Horror entities in the board gaming space. This is a not collectible card game, but LCG living card game, meaning that you don't have randomized packs, but it still has the same spirit where you customize and build your own deck. Here is the catch. This one's co-op, because we've talked about a few customizable games already in this list, but this is a cooperative. So everybody builds their custom deck, but you work together to complete the missions. I think something that makes Arkham Horror, the card game, stand out versus some of the other ones, in my opinion, personally, is that a lot of the scenarios get really creative about how they imbue theme, as well as like how they change up things happening, the mechanisms themselves. Especially, I would say, in like past the beginning box, like the scenarios that came out immediately after that, there's a lot of cool twists that I won't spoil in terms of how this game plays that made people go like, oh wow, this is really good. I never got super into Arkham Horror. Like I did a little bit at the beginning, and I usually did like the first scenarios and things. I did read into some of the things that came after that, like the spoilers for that and such. And I can see why people get like obsessed with this game. This is definitely a lifestyle game where people play this every week. They go to a gathering either with their core group or, some kind of event focused around it, and they'll just play a ton of this. It's so popular that they did kind of what they did with some of their other card games, which is they ran through a bunch of different expansions, and now they're doing a second edition. For me personally, this game just hits that bell of like, it's cool, but I don't want to get invested in this. And that's funny because usually with these kinds of things, I'm like, sign me up. But like for some reason with this one in particular, I was kind of like, I'm doing too much right now. Maybe it just happened to come at a different time in my life where I was like, I'm not ready for another Netrunner kind of thing. But I could see myself in another life, in another timeline being like, you know, Netrunner's winding down. Let's go ham on Arkham Horror. Yeah, it's a cool one. I don't recommend playing it with 4 people. Everybody always wants to play this with 4, and I'm like, why?
That's the table max.
I don't know what the table max is, but I just know that everybody always wants to play this with 4, and I'm like, you don't really get that much more from having 4 people involved. The co-op experience is absolutely enhanced by having 2 people. Like if you go from 1 to 2, but I don't know that you get that much more out of it by expanding that. And then the downtime is just kind of insane. This is like the most tepid shelf stable take ever.
I'm so sorry because I'm like cracking the fuck up because I just pictured you saying all of what you're saying, but it's like about sex. You're like the 2-player experience is already like obviously a lot better, but going to 4 when you're at 3 just seems like overkill. Like,
yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I've played it before. I don't need to play it again. You know, for me, I would if somebody like offered, but like it's not really something that I'll put on the table. Like usually I'd rather play like a push your luck game. So for me, sex is like, yeah, I'll do it again, you know. But
oh yeah, okay.
It's not one that I'm going to be clamoring for anytime soon.
Especially when you can just 2-handed solo it.
Exactly. It's really good. I don't even remember what I was saying. Yeah, Arkham Horror, good game.
All right, Kenny, it's time to talk. It's time to stop talking about sex, okay? Time to get serious. Time to put the jokes aside. It's time to frickin' lock in because it's time to get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, the part of the podcast that people really want to listen to, the main topic this week. And this week, we are giving our unsolicited opinions on a video that was uploaded 4 years ago.
Okay.
By Eric Martin. But for some reason, we recently discovered this. Yeah, tell me how you came across this video.
So I read every article that Eric Martin comes out with on Eric Martin's Board Game Beat. Great website.
Yeah,
I'll post the link.
That's impressive.
I read everything when he was at BGG. I really like Eric Martin. Before we get into this, right? Like,
yeah. We're not actually canceling Eric Martin.
This is not the war on Eric Martin, but I think Eric Martin did a bad and he needs a timeout.
Oh, okay.
So recently he posted a blog post that was like, why I don't sleeve my games. It was a very good article. I agreed with pretty much everything he said because a lot of games don't need to be sleeved. It's just unnecessary. It's one thing if you just enjoy sleeving your games. I think that's perfectly acceptable. It's another to say that, no, you should be sleeving and here's why and here are the benefits. I think a lot of those benefits are either unfounded or overblown. No disagreements there.
Sure.
At the very end of the article, he says, and while we're at it, you probably shouldn't bag any of your components. It's a complete waste of time. And I was like, and that is like a hyperlink to a thing that he did 4 years ago, which is
I see.
Absolutely the most insane board game footage I have seen this year. And it's in the top of all time. It is like the most cooked video I have seen in a long time about board games. 50% of me is like, this is a troll. Like, this video is a whole joke, especially because at the very end, there's like kind of a slight ribbing. He acknowledges that this whole thing is a joke.
Kinda.
But then, like, I know Eric parasocially at this point well enough that I'm like, it's not really on brand for him. Like, I don't know that he would go through all this work to make this video if it was all a bit. And it got published like right before Christmas. It wasn't like a April Fool's joke, you know? It feels like an April Fool's joke.
The top comment on YouTube that had me laughing, they said like, when you have an April Fool's idea, but you can't wait 6 months to post
it's totally true.
Great comment. Here's my beef with this video more than anything else. Eric Martin, if you're listening to this, constructive criticism, ain't no way this video needed to be 30 minutes long.
Especially because
Way
like
too
the
long.
second half is just him giving examples where we're like, we get it.
You do the first bit where you show the horror of like scooping all.
Yeah, we should do a trigger warning here because I feel like people who are genuinely upset or distressed by things that are disorganized or intentionally messy, I think you legitimately need to put a trigger warning here. Like,
Yeah, like this could really create some anxiety.
for example, if
Yeah.
you would never watch Hoarders because it creates too much anxiety, don't watch this video. I will just put that there. Probably don't listen to the rest of this episode because we're going to describe some
Yeah.
of what goes on in it.
There's two caveats, actually. The first caveat is I don't want this to sound like we are telling anybody what they can or can't do with their games.
Yes.
If this is how they go about their life, that's actually totally fine.
Yes,
Like,
100%
even for Eric
agree.
Martin, keep doing this. I mean, you're kind of baller for it in the first place. Making a video about it too is also like next level.
100% agree.
And then the other thing is, I think it's very easy for people to react to this and use like low-key ableist terms like psychotic, deranged, etc. You know, things like that. And I might slip up and do a little bit of that, like admittedly, because it's just encoded in my language. But I'm not calling it that either. Like there's some legitimate
I think that's a good
ideas
thing
here.
to call out. Yeah.
Those terms are wrong. That's not what this is. He's expressing a genuine rationale, and to his rationale is what we're reacting, right?
That segues really well into my first argument about this video before we even describe what happens.
Okay.
You were very clear, like, you're not prescribing how people should handle their games.
No.
Eric Martin does not do that in this video. He implicitly claims multiple times at the beginning with his premise and later near the end of the video that this is a better way to do things and this is what he recommends others should follow. He literally says, I think this is a way that other people should follow. It's not like he says, this is the way I like to do things. Like, he says that too, but he goes further than that and says, like, I'm right, you're wrong. And I have a problem fundamentally with that.
I wouldn't lean on that too hard, but I could be mistaken. I'm sure if he were on the show right now, he'd be like, no, I wasn't seriously like requiring people live this way.
No, it's not a requirement as much as just like, he's like, this is objectively a better way.
Even in the title, he is implying like you're unsmart, basically, if you're wasting your time putting the game away piece by piece. And the fucking... By the way, okay, there's so many damn things to say about this video.
I know,
but
this is
the
why,
fucking, like put it in that, because I want to get back to that in just a second. But the peak cherry on top in the rage bait that is this video is that he sloshes all these pieces into a box. It's literally like 200 fucking little chits and pieces, and then throws the rubber banded pile of bags that came with the game originally in on top. Like, after all of that, there's literally a bundle of bags for sorting it that he just slaps in there. Yeah. And he had to have thought that out because it's so funny.
It's a really funny video, but like the whole time it's like, what? Okay, so what's the general conceit of this video? The general premise is it is smarter and more efficient for most components to stay loose in the box instead of bagging them up. And then the rest of the video is him explaining the reasons why, as well as showing examples. Would you say that's a fair... We're going to try to be as fair as possible here. Obviously, we're biased, right? Because we're arguing against it, but...
The rest of the video is him literally doing the same damn thing 4 times in a fucking row. So,
we're going to focus on the arguments part, you know, because then it's just him doing it over and over. All right. So the first argument comes at the very, very beginning of the video when he's like, yeah, I know I dropped that yellow meeple on the floor and people got so worked up about me dropping the yellow meeple on the floor, but I noticed it and I picked it up and I put it in the box. No harm done. So basically he's preemptively countering arguments that it would be easier to lose pieces.
Yes.
So that's the first argument.
Yeah.
It is easier to lose pieces. He says, no, it is not. I semi-agree with him. Okay. And here's why. And I don't know where you are on this, but I'll say mine and then you can respond as well.
Okay.
I don't think it is easier or harder to lose pieces by not bagging them, by just dumping them all in a box. However, I do think it is less apparent whether you have lost pieces by not doing inventory at the end of a game. 2 reasons. As opposed to sorting it at the beginning of a game, when you are bagging things at the end of a game, players now know what to look after. Okay, so they know the rules to the game. If Eric Martin drops the game on the table, it's a complete hodgepodge of potpourri of components and then says, go ahead and take these things. They may just not know that there's a missing piece. And at that point, anyway, it's too late because the game was like packed years ago, the last time that it was played. So that's the second thing.
Right.
It is too late if you've lost something. If you are going and sorting at the end of a game, you've done inventory, you instantly know there's something missing as you're packing it away. Now, you still might lose things, but like, at least it's way less likely than if you just shove everything in a box. My argument is it's not harder or easier to lose things, but it is absolutely harder to notice if you've lost something if you're just dumping everything like a trough inside of the box.
I think I largely agree with you here, because the absolute worst case scenario is that you go to set up the game and you're doing it his style, which is to basically dump all the pieces back out and force your poor unsuspecting fellow gamers to like help you sort it out for setup, and someone doesn't realize that like something is missing that will actually have an outcome on the game.
Yeah,
this is probably a pretty narrow likelihood, though.
It's still a scenario. Like, it happens even without this system, right?
What you just said is almost an argument against this being a problem.
Yeah. It happens with shared pieces, though, like the ones that aren't to a player. Yeah. So now you're just making it a problem for every piece.
Yeah. So recently we've been trying to do like gardening in the house, right? Because it's been summer. When we were first setting up, I read a book called Square Foot Gardening. And don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this. And Square Foot Gardening talks about planting all your crops in square foot grids like it's Minecraft, which is awesome. And then you water your crops by the cupful. And it gives like specific cup amounts, like per crop and everything. The rationale that is given in the book is when you just like spray it with a hose or you turn it on an automatic sprinkler or whatever, you're not tending the garden. You're not like looking at the leaves, seeing the bugs, seeing the parasites, seeing what might be affecting your plants and having that level of care. And to me, that sort of like slowing your life down a little bit and doing that extra step, like that is worth the care. There's something in it.
There's an assumption being made by Eric that the optimal way to game is to get as much game as possible in the shortest amount of time. That conceit in and of itself is already drawing a lot of assumptions about gamers. Not everybody cares how fast you go or how much you can game. Some people love having long conversations in between turns, you know. I am not one of them, but like I understand that is something that can be appreciated, and I respect that. It is not necessarily a negative to be sorting pieces or to be setting up games. Like I guess I don't understand why we've already jumped to this conclusion in this video.
That was exactly the thing that he said that, or I almost like irked me the most, where he goes like, in defense of this, I played a game with Freedom and Freeze, low key brag, and just like humble bragging it in there, which is great. And then he goes like, and Freeman basically did the exact same thing.
No, Freeman taught him the system.
Yeah, allegedly Freedom and Freeze does this too. But then Freedom and Freeze told him after putting some game away, maybe it was Free Fart, I don't remember.
Yeah.
He goes like, I might never play the game again. Why would I waste any of my time on Earth putting it away? And I'm like, sure, I kind of see where you're coming from with that, but like, how far do you honestly take that in real life? This like general concept of like speed running fucking
it's
life.
It's the Northern Lion quote. It is the Northern Lion quote. It's like, oh, well, I like to, you know, take this route to go home because then I shave off 5 minutes from my time. And
I go through self-checkout because it's so much faster, and then you get home and scroll YouTube shorts. Like, what are you talking about? Because, like, if Eric Martin is, man, maybe he is the kind of guy that is literally playing a game at all opportunities of every hour of every day when he's not writing articles. If that's how he's actually living, then like kudos, you know, he's getting up out of in the morning. He's not making his bed. He's skipping showers as much as he can. He's figured out a way to put his washing machine clothes like automatically into the dryer when the washing machine's done.
He's got the Wallace and Gromit, like,
yeah, exactly. He's fucking Wallace from Wallace and Gromit. Like, if that's how you're living, then like, sure, this is like another way in which you can maximize your life output. But like life is in the farting around.
Yeah,
man.
yes. Like one of the most delightful parts about playing a board game is the debrief. When you're talking about it afterwards and you're like, oh, that was so cool when this happened. And oh, here are my thoughts on how this worked in the game, especially if you're playing a game for the first time. If you're like, and you're pushing everything in the box, you're like, next game, you slam the next box on the table. It's like you lose a part. Like you're going to be 90 years old. You're going to look back on your life and you're like, I never had a chance to breathe because I played so many damn board games.
But maybe that's what you're after. I don't know.
I was so busy packing free fart that I never got to actually free fart.
I never farted freely the whole time.
Never farted freely this whole life.
I was gonna say this method might actually make the most sense in a convention.
Yeah. With your own games. Don't do that to other people's games.
Yeah. Just do it to the library copy. Who fucking cares? They're not gonna find you.
Can we talk? So to go back to this, you might never play the game again. So what? Yes. Or we've already talked about that. He immediately follows it by saying, I play a lot of games only a few times because I'm reviewing a bunch of stuff. And then if I sell it to someone, then that's someone else's problem. I have the quote here. He says, if I sell it to someone, they may worry about the components, but they can check them out when I sell the game to them. I'm sorry? This is antisocial behavior, just straight up. Okay.
Yeah,
I do not
discourteous.
I do not care about your opinions on whether or not you agree with this or not. What matters is how the other person receives that. The whole idea of manners and courtesy gets rooted in the idea of us coexisting as human beings. So the good example is like cussing at a game night, right? If you are with a crowd, a crowd that is okay with cuss words, it's totally acceptable. If you are like, I know this makes other people uncomfortable, but I'm doing it anyway because this is how I enjoy playing, you're now breaching a social contract, right? It doesn't matter that you don't care that cussing is bad. It does matter that you are creating an uncomfortable space for other people when it would have been easy not to do so. Same thing with like not using people's preferred pronouns. You are basically saying, I do not care that this bothers you. It is your problem now and you can fix it if it bothers you, but I'm not going to deal with it. It's just common courtesy to present games in a way that is inoffensive to you and also inoffensive to others. Doesn't matter that you wouldn't care either way. You're going to be handing it off in a way where the state is easily trackable and it's not going to create any sort of upset for the person. The idea of handing a game to somebody that oftentimes you've sold them and now it's up to them to count the components, or maybe you haven't sold it to them yet. You've just handed it to them and they say, is everything in here? And you say, I don't know, check it. Or even you say, yes, everything's in there, but if you don't trust me, check it. None of those scenarios are good. None of those scenarios are acceptable in my opinion.
Right.
This is a very bad thing to do, Eric.
I think you're coming down almost a little too hard because I'm not sure that he's saying like exactly what I know you quoted him directly. I don't know if he's going so far as to say that he will like not put any care at all in before presenting it to the other person, or at least be willing to help them like count and assort the components.
I did some digging into the original comments for this video on BGG, and somebody called him out for this, and he said, I've never had any complaints from anybody that I've sold games to in this condition.
I do love that because it implies that like everybody picked up a game from him is just kind of like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, and they just didn't say anything.
Yeah, I think he even says that. If it did bother them, they didn't say anything to me.
It almost definitely bothered them, Eric. Sorry to tell you.
A, it confirms that he does this. And B, it means that he thought about it and he's still okay with it. Yeah, sorry. But I know you're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he...
No. I appreciate you having the receipts on this, honestly, because I'm like, okay, well, fuck. Like, he's got to relax on this. Like,
I mean, he recognizes to a certain extent that people have preferences and that sometimes there's a pleasure in just having things in a certain way, because in the video itself, at one moment when he's talking about how he likes to put the cards in a bag, he has reasons for that. He says, I want all the cards facing the same way. And I know this is a quirk, but it's something I like to do. So like clearly there are some preferences that he has, but it's
why would he
like,
waste any of his life?
Yeah, if you were taking
cards.
the Eric Martin approach, you would say there is literally no utility because they're all face down, and oftentimes the cards don't even have an up and down side. So if it's not relevant to the gameplay, you're wasting time doing that. You could use his arguments against him, but like he acknowledges to a certain extent, like there's just enjoyment and preference around it. It's weird that he wouldn't extend that further to others, I guess.
Well, and that kind of goes back to like, is this actually just like a master stroke in rage
It could
bait?
very well be.
It's just absolutely, there is no level to which he was serious. He just cleaned up the game that way because the video would get a lot more comments. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he's lumping Friedman Freeze in with this. So it's like, has anyone reached out?
Yeah. Poor Friedman Freeze. He's like, I don't want to be involved. We'll ask him. He briefly argues that other than cards, which he does bag for this purpose, no pieces are damaged by not being bagged. I would agree with this. I have no complaints here.
Yeah.
Like you can shake a box like crazy and pieces are going to go all over the place inside, but they're not going to like damage the board or anything. So you know what? You were right on that one. I don't think there's any counter on my part.
No.
Okay. Then he says, well, some of you might be saying that we're just displacing the cleanup to the setup, and then preemptively counters that argument. I shove everything in a box, but then when we play the game next time, I'm going to have to take everything out and sort it. So it's basically the time that I save by doing that, I'm going to have to do at the beginning. And he says, no, the first reason he gives is because I might never play this game again. We talked about that. Let's talk about his other argument for setup instead of cleanup. He says you don't have to. Just take the pieces you absolutely need to start the game and then leave the troughs on each side of the board. If you're playing free ride, you take your 10 starting trains of your color. All the other piles of pieces are just on the sides of the board, and as you need them, you take them. That's his second argument.
Right.
I'm sure the audience is already reacting to this, right? But there's a few problems with this argument. First of all, this is a straw man. Many games require all pieces to be sorted, and many games don't require them to be sorted, but require them to be tracked. So this just doesn't make any sense. Like it made sense for some of the games that he was cleaning up, but like that's because he picked those specific games.
Yeah, it's his video. It's like cherry picked to oblivion.
This is already foundationally a problem because not a lot of games fall into this category of being applicable to this. Let's just sort it as we go kind of scenario.
Right.
On top of that, now you run into a potential really, really dangerous part, which is you are sifting through pieces in piles on the side of the board, which means A, you are adding time mid-game. That's bad. Mid-game is worse than before or after game, in my opinion. So you're adding time mid-game, so you're making the turns longer. Mm-hmm. You are not paying attention to certain things that other people are playing because you're adding a cognitive load in terms of finding the pieces. Mm-hmm. And that would be in the form of additional reminders about the teach as well as what people are doing on the board. Like you're not in the game because you keep being interrupted by this Where's Waldo mini game.
Yeah.
And third thing is what we alluded to earlier, which is you're going to hit 1 hour into the game and then go, oh, we're missing one of these tiles because you didn't sort the game ahead of you've got a big pile. You have no way of knowing if something's wrong with the game because you're just playing through it. Anyway, I'm saying a lot of obvious things at this point. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse.
You didn't tend to your garden, bro.
You didn't tend to your garden. Voltaire. Spider-Man. It sounds like you agree. Sorry, I'm kind of I'm just getting so riled up. I'm getting so passionate about this, Tom.
Sure, like I hear you saying, like, why waste time on Earth doing this? And I'm like, what the hell else are you going to do? All right, we already said that, basically. Yeah. I think a better argument for doing this is that you prefer this method of cleaning up, that you just have a preference for the way... the way it shapes what happens when you pull it back out the next time. If you like that weird potpourri that we're talking about, instead of the putting it away, bagging it as a group, then sure.
Yeah, if I was Eric, if I was doing like a here's what The Last Jedi would have been like, it would be, hey, this is what I like to do. I know it might seem crazy, but here are some reasons that I think there's a lot of benefits from it. Go through a lot of the same.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sorry.
My name's Eric Martin. It's a happy day. I think he goes into the same arguments, but qualifying, these are just my preferences and things that I see as benefits from the system. It might not work for every game. Here are the games it works for. Here are the games it wouldn't work as well for. And then not give like 5 additional examples. You cut down the length, and then you've got a great video. As it is, it's just rage bait. It's like...
Well, that's the thing, is that he discarded nuance for the sake of content, and he did it beautifully, and we are here reacting to it 4 years later. I mean, it's
either way,
mission accomplished in that sense.
If he's being honest, we need to put this out into the world as a counterbalance, and if he's rage baiting us, then this is high art, and we're appreciating it by putting this out. I guess,
yeah, people will look at this episode and they'll say like, okay, they were like being like moist critical, hyping up a weirdo on YouTube, or they'll look back on it and be like, those guys were punching down on a poor dude who just has a board game dumping fetish and made a joke video about it.
I think that's it, right? Thank you for listening. Eric, we're sorry. I know we're being really harsh.
Right.
But also, you made that video, so I don't feel too bad. Yeah. I would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to get back at us.
We're also tossing out some of the nuance for the sake of the funny. Hopefully we share that vision.
I can't emphasize how much of a service Eric does for board gaming in general. He keeps everybody in the know about everything, and also has some really thoughtful articles a lot of times. Yeah, This is definitely not a slight. Eric, we really appreciate what you do. This video, though, we've said enough. Tom, you want to lead us out?
But that's going to do it for this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you especially to our Patreon supporters. You can subscribe to our Patreon for free. You get at least our monthly newsletter, and consider a paid option for access to our Discord, unedited episodes, and bonus content. Helps us make the show the best thing that you can be listening to. Thank you to Michael, Tyler, Devon, and Josh of the Boise RainBeaus for your awesome segue music. Thank you to Bonehouse for letting us use your song, Rot, as our opening theme.
What are your thoughts on this week's topic? Do you like to bag your components, or do you let them freeform shuffle around in your boxes? You can reach out directly at shelfstablecast@gmail.com. If you're loving the cast, share it with a friend, write a review, hit a thumbs up button, message Eric Martin. Tom, what are we doing for next week?
Next week, Kenny, I think we're going to talk about stuff in board gaming that we trust with our lives. We see it on the side of the box and we're going to say yes, even if it's going to hurt.
Yeah, your body is telling you might not like it, but you're like, but it has this, and I always say yes to this.
Next week, we'll get into that one. See you then.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.